My entitled daughter enjoyed herself too much on the Disney trip and kept calling me daddy, which was unfair to my stepson. So I canceled the trip midway, took away her toys, grounded her, and sent her back early to her mother. Now she is refusing to come back to my home, and I'm regretting my actions and believing my wife. Throwaway account. I 32M took my wife 29F, my daughter 4F, and my stepson 4M to Disney recently, and it turned into one of the most frustrating parenting experiences I've had. It wasn't just the usual meltdowns or exhaustion. It was the weird dynamic between the two kids that pissed me off more than anything. A little background. My daughter lives in Florida with her mom. We share custody, and I fly in to visit her every few months. Sometimes she visits me. She's been to Disney before twice, actually once with her mom's family, and once with me last year. My stepson, my wife's son from a previous relationship, lives with us full-time and had never been. The plan was to take them both to Disney so they could experience it together. We hyped it up for weeks, new outfits, packed snacks, maps, all of that. My daughter was the most vocal, though. From the minute we picked her up, she was on and on about the Dumbo ride. Nonstop. And not just excited, like, performatively excited. I can't wait for Dumbo. Dumbo is my favorite ever. You're going to love Dumbo. This went on for the entire 3-hour drive. I thought it was cute at first, but my wife quietly mentioned later that it seemed like she was trying to rub in that she'd already been and knew everything. I brushed it off at the time. Anyway, my stepson, who I'll just call him, was naturally influenced. 4-year-olds soak up everything, and by the time we hit the parking lot, M was almost vibrating about getting to Dumbo. First thing he says as we walk through the gates, "Dumbo first, right?" But the line was already stupidly long, like 75+ minutes, and it was still early. We told them we'd circle back after doing a few things with shorter waits. We knocked out the teacups, some character picks, lunch, and the carousel, all the typical stuff. But every time we checked Dumbo, the line just got longer. Probably should have just sucked it up and waited early on. But we thought it would die down eventually. It didn't. By the time we realized we needed to just commit, both kids were dragging their feet. They were hot, overstimulated, and tired, but still determined to get on that damn elephant ride. Now here's where things start to go south. We get to the top of the line finally, and of course, there's the "must be this tall to ride alone" sign. Both kids are under it. No big surprise. But then M says he wants to ride with my daughter. We told him no adults had to go with them for safety. My wife said she'd ride with him. I'd ride with my daughter. That's when M lost it. Full-blown meltdown. Screaming, crying, hitting his own leg, collapsing onto the ground. It wasn't just about the seating arrangement, he was done. He'd hit the limit. My wife crouched and tried to calm him, but it just kept escalating. While this is happening, my daughter, who I'll call, turns to me and says in this sugary voice, "At least we get to ride together, right, Daddy?" That rubbed me the wrong way. It wasn't just that she was excited. It was the tone. Like she was doing it because her stepbrother was melting down. Like she was enjoying having the attention on her for handling it better. Still, we moved forward. My wife gave me this look and whispered, "Let him pick the color, or this is going to get worse." I kind of laughed like, "Really, that's the issue?" But I nodded. I figured whatever made things smoother. So we get on. I don't remember what color M ended up picking, probably green. My daughter and I got on the one ahead of them. She's immediately pressing the up-down button like crazy and keeps throwing out these comments like, "Isn't this fun, Daddy?" And, "I'm having so much fun. I love this ride. It's my favorite." And again, it wasn't the words, it was the tone. Loud enough for M to hear. Overly sweet, like she wanted to make a show of it. M, meanwhile, was slumped in the seat. My wife wasn't even touching their button, so their Dumbo just stayed at the lowest level, going around in circles while he cried, and she looked miserable. At that point, I snapped. I turned to my daughter and said something like, "Okay, cut it out. Stop sucking up. This isn't cute." She got quiet. Didn't say another word the rest of the ride. And yeah, I was still pissed after we got off. We didn't go on any more rides after that. I told us she was done for the day. No treats, no toys from the gift shop, no Mickey-shaped snacks. My wife backed me up. She even told me later that if this was the kind of attitude S was going to bring on these trips, maybe we don't need to plan future ones with both kids. That part stung, because I don't get to see my daughter often. But I also couldn't shake the feeling that she knew what she was doing. We drove back mostly in silence. M passed out in the car after crying himself tired. My daughter kept glancing at me but didn't say anything. We get back to the house. My daughter is still quiet. My wife takes them to bed, and I sit us down in the living room. I ask her if she understood why I was upset. She shrugs. I ask again, more direct. Did you think it was okay to keep going on about how fun it was while Em was crying like that? She says, I was just having fun. I tell her that's not how it looked. It looked like she was showing off. Her answer? Well, he was being a baby. At that point, it was done. I told her she was grounded the rest of the weekend. No cartoons, no tablet, no swimming, no McDonald's on the way to the airport like we usually do. My wife suggested canceling the souvenir order we had made earlier in the day, one of those $60 Dumbo plushes with a name embroidered on the ear. I did. I texted my ex that night and told her I'd be dropping us off Sunday instead of Monday. She didn't push back. I didn't give a full explanation. Didn't feel like getting into it over text. The next morning, Em wakes up fine. Still a little clingy, a little quiet, but he gets over it. It comes out like nothing happened. She asks if she can have cereal while watching TV. I remind her she's grounded. She throws a fit screaming, throwing the remote. Wife tells her if she keeps going, we'll pack her up early and leave that day. That shuts her down. We get through the day. No activities. She pouts, glares at everyone, and won't speak unless spoken to. I'm already mentally clocked out. I was planning to have one more day with her, maybe take her to the zoo or aquarium, but I'm not rewarding this. Sunday morning, I drive her back. She's in the back seat, quiet for most of the ride. Before we get there, she asks, are we still going to the beach next month? I tell her no. I'm not planning another trip for a while. She sulks, but doesn't cry. I think she thought I was bluffing. I meet her mom in a parking lot. She pulls me aside and asks what happened. I tell her. Not everything, but enough about the ride, how she handled it, and how she refused to apologize. Her mom nods, but says she thinks I might have overreacted. That therefore, probably didn't mean anything by it. I tell her I'm not doing this guilt trip thing. If she wants to coddle it, fine. But I'm not putting Em through that again. We drive back home. Em asks if S is coming next time we go somewhere fun. I tell him, no, just us next time. He says, okay. My wife doesn't say anything, but I can tell she's relieved. Now that it's been a week, I've had time to think. I've seen some friends raise eyebrows when I explain it. One even said, you grounded a 4-year-old for enjoying a ride. No, I grounded her for knowing exactly what she was doing and doing it anyway. For rubbing it in her win while the other kid was breaking down. I know they're both 4. I'm not expecting emotional maturity, but I am expecting basic decency. She knew he was upset. She pushed anyway. So now I'm here, wondering if I handled it right. Ada? Comments. Comment 1. YTA. And not just a little, you handled this like a total coward. You let a 4-year-old's harmless glee trigger a full adult tantrum, and then you framed it like some moral lesson. No, you weren't teaching her, don't antagonize. You were teaching her, don't show joy when I'm stressed. Don't speak unless I like your tone. Don't be more excited than my stepson. This wasn't about behavior. This was about optics. She embarrassed you by not being upset like her stepbrother, and instead of parenting, you punished her out of discomfort. That's weak as hell. What she needed was help navigating a tough moment with empathy. What she got was a lecture, isolation, revoked affection, and an early return. And honestly, the subtext here reeks of favoritism. You bent over backwards to manage Em's meltdown as you should, but you gave zero benefit of the doubt. You saw your wife seething, and instead of protecting your daughter, you threw her under the bus to keep the peace. You're not just a top. You're the adult who taught a 4-year-old that love is conditional on being quiet and invisible. Hope that sits well. Comment 2. Hard YTA. Jesus Christ. You grounded a 4-year-old, canceled her trip, and returned her early because she was too enthusiastic on a ride. Are you hearing yourself? You didn't punish her for being mean. You punished her for being happy in the wrong tone while another kid was upset. That's unhinged. Your stepson had a meltdown, understandable. He's 4. But instead of helping him regulate, you projected all your own embarrassment and stress onto your daughter. Her crime was what? Smiling too hard, pressing the button too much, saying she liked the ride. You didn't discipline. You lashed out. Then you doubled down with a punishment that reads more like spite than parenting. You iced her out, took her toys, canceled future plans, and sent her back early like she was a problem to return to sender. If this is how you act when she annoys you, I'd be terrified of what she gets when she actually screws up. And don't get me started on your wife. She was clearly waiting for your daughter to slip up so she could push for no more trips. You let her steer that narrative without even questioning it. Your daughter didn't weaponize sweetness, you weaponized disappointment. Comment 3. NTA, and I'm probably going to get downvoted for this, but too many people underestimate how emotionally aware some kids are. She's 4, yeah, but 4-year-olds know how to twist the knife, especially if they've been coached, coddled, or just naturally have a manipulative streak. This wasn't some innocent, I'm having fun moment. She was intentionally sweet-talking and peacocking while your stepson was melting down. And look, I say this as a parent of 2. When one of mine weaponizes being the good kid to needle the one who's struggling, that's not just normal rivalry, it's mean-spirited. You clocked it. Your wife clocked it. The grounding was valid. The canceling of the future trip? Also valid. Actions have consequences, even for 4-year-olds. You're teaching her that smugness isn't a flex when someone else is hurting. That matters. Update. Didn't think I'd actually come back to this post, but after reading through the comments, yeah, even the brutal ones, I need to say a few things. Some of you were harsh as hell, but honestly, I deserved it. It hit me harder than I expected, but it made me stop bullshitting myself about what really happened that day. I want to address a few things that happened after the post, because a lot has changed. First off, my ex called me a few days after I dropped us off. She wasn't angry at first. She just asked what really went down at Disney. I gave her the rundown again, the same version I gave here, only calmer. She asked me, "Do you even know if she went to Disney twice before?" I said, "Yeah, she told me." My ex goes, "No, she didn't. She went once when she was 2, and she barely remembers it. That's probably why she was so excited. She's been waiting for that ride for years." That floored me. I'd been telling myself she was bragging or showing off because she'd already done it before, and it turns out the opposite was true. She was hyping it up because it was finally something she remembered and wanted to share. That night, I went through my wife's phone. She records everything when we're on family trips, and sure enough, she had a video from when we were waiting for the Dumbo ride. I watched it maybe 10 times. It wasn't mocking anyone. She was just beaming, holding onto the lever with both hands, saying, "Daddy, look, we're flying," over and over. Nothing snide, no eye rolling, no smirk. Just a happy kid. You know that gut drop feeling when you realize you completely misread the moment? That's what hit me. After seeing that, I texted my ex and asked if I could FaceTime S. She agreed. S was polite, said hi, and told me she was coloring. I told her I was sorry for being mad at Disney and that I misunderstood what she meant. She just shrugged and said, "It's okay, Daddy." But her tone wasn't the same. She wasn't the chatty, excited little girl I used to pick up. She sounded like she was talking to a teacher. I asked if she wanted to visit next month like we planned before the Disney mess, and she said, "Mum said I don't have to if I don't want to." I told her I'd really like her to come. Maybe just me and her. No big crowds. No rides if she doesn't want. She said, "No, it's okay. Your wife doesn't like me anyway." That sentence stopped me cold. I asked her why she thought that, and she said, "She told me you're busy now and have your real family." I didn't even know what to say. I told her that wasn't true, but she just nodded and changed the subject to her drawing. I hung up and went straight to my wife. When I confronted her, she didn't deny it. She said she was tired of forcing a bond that doesn't exist, and that doesn't fit here. Her exact words. I told her that was out of line, and she said, "You don't even see what she does to him. She makes him feel small." I reminded her therefore. They both act out. But she doubled down, said she's protecting her son, that S always tries to one-up him, and that if I can't see it, I'm being blind. That turned into a 2-hour fight. She said what everyone in the comments basically said, that I always side with her when it's convenient. And she's right. I let her steer the whole Disney situation. I let her frame S as the problem because it was easier than dealing with the tension between them. I didn't respond much in that fight because, truthfully, I couldn't defend myself. Every argument she made about SAE I'd already seen was false after watching that video. The next morning, I tried again to talk to S on FaceTime. She didn't want to. My ex said she's been quieter since coming back, doesn't talk much about the trip, doesn't mention me at all. Apparently when her mom brought up me visiting again, said, "I don't want to make Daddy mad." That hit me harder than anything anyone said online. For context, my ex isn't the type to badmouth me in front of her. We don't get along, but she's civil. If S is saying that on her own, that's from her experience, not coaching. So now I'm sitting with the fact that my daughter thinks I don't like her. That I punished her for being happy. That I let someone else define her intentions for me because I didn't want to be that dad who argues with his new wife. And now the damage is done. My wife thinks I should just let it go, that kids bounce back, and that I should focus on M and the family you have right now. She actually said that word for word. I told her it doesn't feel right to just give up on my kid. She said, "You're not giving up. You're letting her be happy where she belongs." That was the moment I realized I don't even recognize the person I've been living with. So, yeah, I read all your comments, especially the ones calling me out for cowardice, projection, and favoritism. They were right. I saw what I wanted to see because it fit the version of events that kept my household peaceful. I punished a 4-year-old to protect an adult's comfort. I've since texted my ex to ask if she's okay with me flying out solo to visit S at her home instead of making her travel. She said she'll talk to her and let me know. I told her I don't care if it's awkward or short. I just want to see my kid again and show her that I do care. I don't expect forgiveness right away. I don't expect her to run up and hug me. I just want her to stop believing she's not wanted. This whole situation exposed more than I wanted to admit, not just about Essie's in, but about my marriage. I let myself believe that new family meant replacing the old one. But family doesn't reset. You just add to it. If you commented on my last post, even if you tore me apart, thank you. I needed to hear every bit of it. Now I just need to figure out how to undo the damage I caused before my daughter learns to stop expecting anything from me at all. Comments. Comment 1. Dude, you let your daughter walk into a minefield and then punished her when she got blown up. Your wife's been gunning for that kid since day one, and you just stood there holding the ammo. Let's be real. Your daughter could have sat on that rhinestone silent, and your wife still would have found a way to paint her as the villain. She said, "She doesn't fit here." That's not something you come back from. That's not a parenting disagreement. That's straight up emotional exile. And you played along. Whether it was guilt, fear of rocking your new family, or straight up apathy, you helped her push your kid out the door. You're lucky your ex is letting you back in at all. If I were her, I'd be talking to a lawyer. The damage is done, man. And it's not just on your daughter, it's on you. Own that. You're doing the bare minimum now. But that little girl already learned her spot in your life is negotiable. Fixing that is going to take years. Comment 2. Props for the self-awareness now. But that doesn't erase how much you F'd this up. What gets me most isn't even the initial mistake. It's how deep you let your wife's resentment run without ever checking her. You didn't just let her influence the trip. You let her poison how you saw your own daughter. She's out here saying S doesn't fit. That's dark, man. That's the kind of SHT stepmoms say in movies right before the dad realizes he abandoned his kid for a replacement family. And your stepson. Don't kid yourself, he's being fed this narrative too. Next thing you know, he's going to be parroting that same real family crap back to her, and the divide will be permanent. I don't care how awkward it is. You need to start treating this like a custody crisis, because that's what it is. You're one passive choice away from becoming the dad your daughter sees twice a year for lunch. Fight harder. Comment 3. I'm not going to dogpile you. You already did it to yourself. What I will say is this. Trauma doesn't always come from outright abuse. Sometimes it comes from a single moment where a kid realizes they don't matter as much as someone else. That's what happened here. Your daughter hit that wall. You know how brutal it is to hear your own kid say, "Daddy's wife doesn't like me." And worse, she's right. Your wife said the quiet part out loud, and you let it hang in the air. That's not a kid problem. That's a partner problem. You're not choosing between families, you're choosing between right and easy. Easy is staying married and letting your wife keep drawing that line in the sand. Right is fighting to make sure your daughter knows she's not disposable. You've got one shot to get this right before that kid learns to stop expecting anything from you. Don't F it up again. Update. After the last update, I knew I had to do something more than just say sorry. I needed to show S that I was serious about repairing the damage. The texts and FaceTimes weren't doing much. She stayed distant, polite but guarded. My ex was being civil, but I could tell she was waiting to see if I'd screw it up again. So I put together a plan. A weekend trip. Just me and S. No wife. No stepson. Just the two of us. I told her it would be her call. If she didn't want to go, I'd understand. She asked. Just us. No one else? I said yes. Her face actually lit up. She picked the destination herself, same city as Disney, but not Disney. She said she wanted to try a different park, but also ride Dumbo one more time the right way. My ex agreed, a little hesitant. She said, "If you even think of making her feel bad this time, I'm coming down personally." Fair enough. The trip was incredible. I won't lie, it felt like I had my daughter back for the first time in months. She opened up fast. We laughed and ate too many snacks, and she held my hand walking into the parks like she used to. She got excited again talking about the rides. We finally rode Dumbo together at night, lights glowing, and she said, "This is what I wanted to show you last time." We even went back to the hotel and watched her favorite princess movie. She fell asleep curled up next to me on the bed with her Dumbo plush in one arm. For a few hours, I let myself believe we were okay again. And then I ed it all up again. What happened was simple. She was asleep. I thought she was out cold. I stepped into the hall, just outside the room, to call my wife, just to check in. She was angry I hadn't called earlier. I kept the tone light, told her the trip was going great, was having fun, and I felt like we were finally reconnecting. She made a joke, "I'm glad your real daughter likes you again." I let it slide. Then she asked if I had talked to S about being nicer to M next time. I said no, that this trip wasn't about that, that it wasn't the time. That's when she snapped. She said, "So she gets rewarded for being manipulative, and you ignore the kid who actually lives with you? Got it." I told her that wasn't fair, and that S was for she wasn't manipulating anyone. My wife didn't back down. She said, and I remember this word for word, "She's not a good kid. I don't know what's wrong with her, but she's not normal. She knows how to play you. I'm not doing this every time she visits." I didn't yell. I just hung up. When I walked back in the room, S was sitting up in bed, clutching her stuffed Dumbo. Her face was blank. I knew immediately she'd heard it. She didn't say anything to me, just laid back down and pretended to sleep. The next morning, she wouldn't look at me, wouldn't talk. She didn't want breakfast. Didn't want to ride anything else. Barely touched her plush toy. I tried to apologize, tried to tell her she didn't do anything wrong, but she just said, "It's okay. I want to go home." When we pulled up to her mom's place that evening, she opened the car door before I even fully stopped. She ran inside without saying goodbye. 10 minutes later, her mom came back out, face red with anger. She didn't yell, but her voice shook. She said, "She heard everything. Your wife said she's not normal, that she's not a good kid. Are you out of your effing mind?" I tried to explain that I didn't know she was awake, that I was trying to de-escalate the conversation, that I had hung up. None of it mattered. She said, "You will not be seeing her until there's a custody review. And if your wife ever speaks about my daughter like that again, I'll make sure visitation is supervised only. I don't care how many apology trips you take. You let her feel like a problem in her own father's life. I hope that was worth it." Then she slammed the door. That was a week ago. Since then, my calls go unanswered. My texts get one-word replies, if any. My wife has tried to act like I was ambushed by my ex, not the other way around. She says things like, "She's just trying to control you," or, "This is why blended families never work, people won't let go of the past." I haven't said much to her since. Not because I'm scared, but because I don't trust myself not to blow up. The truth is, I'm thinking about separation. I haven't said it out loud yet, but it's in my head constantly. I love my wife, I do. But I can't unhear what she said about my daughter, and I can't unsee how easily she turned me against her. I'm angry. Not just at her, but at myself. For letting it get this far. For being so goddamn passive. For needing 3 effing chances to realize what kind of damage I was allowing. I miss my daughter. I miss the version of me that made her feel safe. Right now, I'm not that person. And as much as I love my stepson, I know if I stay in this marriage, I'm choosing a version of family that requires me to abandon part of my own. I don't know what comes next. But I know I need to earn my daughter's trust back, and I can't do that while standing next to someone who sees her as disposable. Update. It's been over a year since my last update. A lot of people asked what happened, and I didn't have the words for it at the time. I do now, so here it is. I'm divorced. It didn't happen all at once. After that final trip with S, after she overheard my ex-wife, I'm calling her that now say she wasn't a good kid, everything in our home got colder. I was angry all the time. Not loud, not explosive, just done. We lived together for another 4 months. In those months, I tried to get my daughter back. I apologized and sent voice notes, letters, and drawings. She started responding slowly. But nothing felt right while I was still living with the person who called her broken. I asked my then wife to apologize to S. She refused. She said she didn't say anything that bad, and that I was making it bigger than it was. When I said it was a deal breaker for me, she rolled her eyes and told me to stop chasing a kid who doesn't even live with you full time. We fought constantly after that. Not yelling. The quiet kind, the type that turns people into roommates. My stepson, M, picked up on it immediately. Started acting out. Began asking questions like, "Why don't you want us all to be together anymore?" And, "Why do you like it S more now?" That broke me. Because M is just a kid, too. He didn't ask to be put in the middle of this. But it was clear my ex had been feeding him her version of events. My mother made it worse. She's always had a soft spot for M, never liked S's mom, never really accepted my daughter the way she pretended to. When I told her I was thinking of leaving my wife to be near S, she said, "You're throwing away your real family for a brat who barely knows you." That phrase, real family, came back again. Same poison. Same justification for pushing out a kid who didn't fit the image. I made my decision that night. I filed for divorce a month later. It was ugly. My ex fought me hard. She didn't want shared custody of him. She wanted full custody, but also full child support. Claimed I was abandoning him. Her lawyer pushed the narrative that I chose another child and emotionally damaged her son. My lawyer showed the text logs, the videos, the recordings of her refusing to apologize. The judge saw through it. In the end, I gave her what she truly wanted: distance. She got majority custody of M, as she requested. I agreed to biweekly visits and didn't fight over assets. I gave her the house, the car, everything she used to brag about. I just wanted out. She expected me to fight for it. But what she didn't understand is that I don't want anything that came from a life built on erasing my own kid. I moved 3 states over 10 minutes from my daughter's school. The adjustment's been hard. M cried the first few times we FaceTime. He asked why he can't come live with me too. I didn't know what to say. I told him I still love him, and I do. But he's being raised in an environment where my daughter is the villain, and I couldn't stay part of that without becoming someone I hate. My mother hasn't spoken to me since the move. She told the rest of the family I walked out on my son. The truth is, she never saw S as my child to begin with. Just an accessory to a failed relationship. S and I. It's slow, but better. I see her every weekend. I pick her up from school once a week. We go to the library, the beach, and the aquarium. She still has moments where she hesitates, like she's waiting for the other shoe to drop, but they're getting rarer. I'm in therapy. Not because someone forced me to, but because I need to. I'm learning how to parent without letting guilt control me. How to show love without conditions. How to be present, even when it's uncomfortable. I started a new job remotely. Pays less, but gives me flexibility. I rent a small apartment now. 1 bedroom for me, 1 for S, decorated with the stuff she picked. I don't date. Don't plan to anytime soon. I'm not bringing anyone into my daughter's life, unless I know for a fact they're the kind of person who would love her like she's theirs, and not just say it when it's convenient. This isn't a redemption arc. I'm not patting myself on the back. I burnt my relationship with my daughter down, and now I'm building from the ashes. Slowly. I don't get hugs every day. Sometimes she flinches when I raise my voice, even if I'm not mad at her. Sometimes she double checks before making a joke. But other times, quiet times, she leans on my shoulder at the park. She laughs without looking for permission. She calls me just to say goodnight. Those are the moments I live for now. I know I can't undo what I did. I know I might resent me one day. I know people in my life will always think I chose wrong. But if choosing wrong means choosing the one child everyone else was ready to discard, then I'll choose her every time. Thank you for watching the video. If you are interested in listening to these kinds of stories, we've got more in store for you. Simply subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and share it with your friends.